بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم ألهمنا مراشد أمورنا وأعذنا من شرور أنفسنا. Surah Al-Fajr is the beginning of the last half of the 30 juz of the Quranic Kareem. In the last chapter of the Quranic Kareem, in the last para, what we call, many of the surahs are repeated again and again in our salah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam chose certain surahs which the Imam was encouraged to always read again and again. Just before Surah Al-Fajr comes, Sabbih Hisma Rabbika and Hal Atak. These two surahs, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever there was an occasion, Eid Salah, Jummah Salah, Sabbih Hisma Rabbika, Witr Salah. The purpose of repeating it again and again and again was that the people who will come to the masjid, there are certain bayans in this surah that is like a khulasa, a summary of the entire Quran. It is a bayan like no other bayan. It is not a bayan of a wali. It is not a bayan of a nabi. It is the bayan of the creator of all those who ever spoke. And the manner that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala explains the point, whether it's describing Jannah, Jahannam, the world will never be able to bring about such manners. That is why the Quranic Kareem's miracle is, from the many miracles, one is memorizing, one is being able to read. One miracle of the Quran is you will never become tired of it. It's the greatest mufassir. He will look at the same surah 100 times. And every time it will give out something else. It is the greatest qari. You will ask him, what surah you read? He said, I like the surah. He said, how many years you reading? He said, last 30 years. The same surah. He said, I love the surah. So I'll read everything else. I'll end with my Qul huwallahu ahad. Then you'll ask the listener, that haven't you heard this qiraat enough? He'll say, you can never get enough of it. This is when it is read by the non, meaning by creation. When creation with a dirty tongue, made up of weakness, when he reads Quran, the people who listen become amazed. The reader enjoys it. A person hardly can stand in salah. You will see after 5 minutes when the imam pulls, everyone's leg starts itching. But when Taraweeh comes, the person knows, I'm going to the masjid half an hour, 1 hour. There are some masjids that say, I don't know if the people will manage. Few years later you go, you find the people are standing. In the past there would be difficulty to stand for one juz of Quran. More and more it's becoming common that in the month of Ramadan, there are those people who search for the person who will read the entire Quran in one night. And they go towards it, like from far they'll travel. Some people will say, my back will pain. Other people will say, no, I'll stand for that. Miracle of Quran, that how it brought the attention of the world. But the cherry on top of the Quran is, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. Have the people not pondered in this Quran? The cherry on the top, the real miracle of Quran, comes out when Allah Tabarak Ta'ala speaks to man. And man gives an attentive ear. But that can only happen if man understands Quran. We found ourselves, unfortunately, in an environment that is not what was called conducive to learning the language of Quran. Because of which a young child learned Afrikaans. He learned Zulu. He learned Gujarati. He learned Merman. He mastered English. He says, I speak so many languages. You say, you understand Quran? He says, no. The language of Deen for every person from every locality in every era, first language that a child has to learn is the language of Quran. Because when that child starts his first few surahs, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, he's being taught 2 du'as. That child has to read that dua as a dua. It is 2 surahs, but it is 2 unique duas. It saves you from every jinn, every shaitani effect. It answers all the problems of what is called waswasa. That child will go to school, one thought came in his mind, a shaitani thought. Now that thought is brewing. He wants to ask his parents, they got no answer. He says, I asked the ulama, they never answered. When the devil blows a thought in a person, the best of the ulama of the world can come. No one can really answer Iblis. You can't answer shaitan. If anyone could have given him an answer, he got the answer. He asked, he was objecting to Allah. Almighty Allah answered him, he was not happy. This is Iblis, shaitan. When the answer given by Almighty Allah could not make him happy, where he blows his thought, the best of ulama can speak to that individual. That individual, because they got a shaitani thought, they're not going to get happy. They first need to take shaitan out. Only when shaitan is pushed away, that child will read, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. I enter into the protection of the creator of it all. Min sharril waswasil khannas. From the evil of the one who blows the worst of thoughts. Now when the child reads this, the devil is pushed away. When the devil is pushed away, even if the mother answers, the father answers, the alim answers, even if no one answers, the child says, I got my answer. But that child will read the surah when he knows the meaning. He won't have to be taught, make shukr to Allah for the amount of favors Allah has given you. He just reaches لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشِ إِيلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. In that he's thinking about how Allah Tabarak Ta'ala allows people to move in the world, how He allows the people to travel, how He lets the businesses flourish. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. And then the child is told, you're getting everything you want. You wake up in the morning, you find your food, you find your water, you find electricity. Your father is a wealthy businessman. Don't become rude. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا. Why don't you worship the Lord of this beautiful house? فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Lord of the Kaaba, fall in His worship. الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ. That He saved you from hunger. وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ. He kept you safe. The child reads this. The lessons of what we call tarbiyat, nurturing. Greatest tarbiyat was through Quran. Greatest. But because the language of Quran was forgotten, now the child grew up and he was missing one big portion in his life. So every surah he memorized. As he was memorizing the surah, in the surah Almighty Allah was describing in the most unique manner Jannah. But the child never knew what's being described. So he just finished 3 hours in the Hifz class. He memorized a unique surah where Jannah, Jahannam, everything was explained. The woman of Jannah. The woman of Jannah were explained to the child. He read the ayat so many times, but he never knew what it meant. He just leaves the class, he takes out a phone. He says, hey, look at this girl, how smart she is. Had he understood what he was reading, he would have said, this will never match what my Allah has prepared for me. He would have put it off. When the message that Allah had given is taken, a boy wants to do wrong, a girl wants to do wrong, immediately Jahannam is mentioned. They're memorizing, they're reading, they're memorizing. You don't have to read the whole Quran to get the description of Jannah and Jahannam. A child just memorizes Juz-e Amma. The last juz of Quran, but with meaning. That child will find waking up for tahajjud becomes easy. That child will find crying in salah becomes easy. Reading 2 rakats after Maghrib salah becomes easy. The father will enter the room. You'll find the child at night crying. Say, what happened? He says, no, nothing. I'm just enjoying Quran. All of that happens when the meaning of Quran is taught with Quran. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala make that thing happen. Wherever we are at the moment, the world now, universally, globally, is moving in one filthy direction. So filthy it has become, previously we spoke about it in many places, that in a quiet manner a lot of poison is being fed. Now no longer is it quiet. Now it is so loud that even the deaf person will hear it. Now people send messages, they say, look at what they're doing now, look what they're teaching in the schools. The only thing is it became loud. It was always there, quiet. When it became loud, it means they're not even scared anymore. So people ask, how will we survive the future? How will a child survive the future? The answer is that if you give the school the chance, the university the chance, the television the chance, the environment the chance to speak to our minds for over 20 hours during the day. 20 hours, because there are people nowadays who only sleep 4 hours. They go home at the time 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock they're busy with their phone. YouTube and WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever. And it will get more. It's not going to stop. Recently we were shown what is called the metaverse. It hasn't reached South Africa in a big manner, but it's entering. It will come in every house. Out the phone, when we thought one man was using a cordless phone, everyone said, wow, you got a cordless phone. Thereafter he had what was called what we used to call the rock phone. At that time it was, you got a Nokia. And he was so thrilled about it. You saw my phone. And then that became old and it became a smartphone. That smartphone will also become after a while like a dead phone. It will be something else. And it moves. The metaverse will enter the houses of every person. The rich will have the metaverse. The poor will have the metaverse. That boy will be sitting in one hut. He won't have proper electricity. He won't bother. As long as he can get connection for his metaverse. He will put one gadget on his head. She will put a gadget on her head. Grandmother can't even walk. But when she puts metaverse on her head, she'll be climbing Mount Everest. You'll walk there, you'll see her smiling also, moving her legs. She can't move the leg also, but she doesn't talk. I made it. Grandmother. When that enters the houses, then a father might be calling for his child. A child might be crying for the mother. There was one example in one country, the child died. The child passed away because the child was crying out of hunger. But the mother and father were so absorbed in another world that they forgot they got a child. They remained in that world so many hours. When they came, the child had dehydrated and passed away. That court case, when it took place, the judge asked the parents, like, how could you become oblivious of your own child? It was a unique answer they gave. He said, what were you all doing in that world? Fake world. So amazing, the answer was that in that fake world, they had adopted a child. And they were busy together looking after that child. So many hours they were looking after a fake child, they forgot the real child. The child passed away. I read that article, which made me understand how deep a person can go, even if it's a halal thing. They were not in a club. They were not at the beach. They were looking after a child. In looking after the child, it could make them oblivious of the world. When the metaverse will come into our houses, it will make man oblivious of his akhirat, of his qabr, of his own dunya also, which Almighty Allah says they forgot themselves also. That boy will be called, come eat, you haven't eaten. He says, I'm not hungry. That's it. He'll forget to eat, forget to drink. He just wants that machine on his head. When that thing will open up, and the devil will be like calling, come. When we were small, there was something called the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. So this individual enters the town and there's a lot of rats, mice. The people complain, he says, I got a certain song. I'll play my pipe and all the mice will come out. And I'll take all the mice to the waters and they'll all go in and they'll drown. But how much will you all pay me? So they said a huge amount. He pulled out all the mice. When the time came for pay, they never want to pay. So he said, no problem, I got another song. With that song, I'll pull out all your children from the houses. So whoever wrote that story, whether they knew why they're writing it, who was the inspiration behind that story, Allah's Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, you will find that era where a father will have to lock up his wife and child, knowing that as soon as they find the opportunity, they will try to run out of the house, to move towards where Dajjal is. Here it won't be the devil coming looking for the person. That era will come where the individual will go looking for the devil. When that father has to lock up his wife and child we understood, wife. People would have thought, where a wife, a mother she is. But we entered the time where as people get hooked and addicted, what is happening in the world? At that time, Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a time will come where the tolerant, the one of intelligence, he will also be left hayran. Hayran means confused. People will ask him what to do now. He'll say, I also got no answer. But there is one answer for every error, and that is called Al-Quran. It breaks through every shaitani trap, every web of the devil. There is a certain spider that makes its web between two branches. So if you have one branch on this tree and one branch of that tree, between the two branches it pulls a web, a very huge web. You will see it in the big jungles. The web is huge and its purpose is to catch birds. So the bird that is flying at a very fast speed, it doesn't see the web because it's made of that material that's very fine. It only realizes it hit the web when it bangs into it. Then the web moves with it, and then it springs back. Now the bird is stuck. How strong it is, but you can't see it. Then the bird tries to pull out of this web. As it moves, it gets more stuck. This is the web. As it kicks, it gets more. The more it tries, the more tired it gets. When the bird got no strength anymore, then the spider comes out. And it comes out in a unique manner, like to laugh at the bird. The bird normally could have killed the spider, but the bird is finished. And that spider now plays a game. He'll make that web go around the bird. And then when he gets the chance, he'll just eject its poison. And in front of it, that bird will start becoming like smaller. And as that poison moves inside, it breaks everything. And that's when the spider will now go and sit on it and say, now you're mine. Allah makes these animals, this creation, these insects as lessons. Sometimes when that bird is flying, the only thing that gives away the web is the light of the sun. Only thing. So sometimes when that bird is flying, then the little bit sunlight hits on that. And it gives a certain glare. Sunlight. The bird is flying and it just sees that. As soon as it sees it, that bird just goes up. It's flying so fast and it just saw that light, it understood web. And it just goes over the web and carries on. And he says, it just got away. What saved the bird? Will say the light of the sun. Had that light not hit on that web, the bird would never have seen it. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala creates this year to give lessons to man. A lesson is the web of the devil is just like the web of the spider. مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا. Allah says, just like the spider that made its house. وَإِنَّ أَوْهَنَ الْبُيُوتِ لَبَيْتُ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ. The weakest of houses is the house of the spider. But when it catches, how it catches? The devil's web is the same. You can't see it, even though it's so clear. So clear that they're not shy to say web. They're not shy to say net. The person happily says, I entered the World Wide Web. You ask him, whose web? He says, I don't know. Someone's web. When he says, I connected to the internet, you say, whose net? Where we have a net? When the fisherman throws and he says, I'll pull in my net. There are some places we visited, they said, you saw how funny it is. Why there's always one eye everywhere? Isn't that the eye of the devil, the eye of the Jal? We'll say, why is it there? He say, I don't know. He says, the reason it's there is to say, it's me, I'm there, watch out. But so clear the devil has made his trap, but still it is so hidden, that the individual walks into it. Freemasonry, Illuminati. We have reached the time in South Africa, once upon a time it was in other countries. We reach countries, we spoke about Illuminati, Freemasons. People would meet us and say, me, I became a Freemason from university, from school. They approached me, they said, you want to be a Freemason? So we would be shocked, like how do they come to a Muslim and tell him, become a Freemason? Then we visited certain countries, they said in this country, one country I visited, they said all the mutawallis of the masjid were Freemasons. All the mutawallis of the masjid were Freemasons. So one person said, my father also. So I said, what they used to do? He said, no, nothing, as long as you signed up, you are Freemason. They wouldn't make everyone do what they wanted. But every mutawalli was ours, like the mutawallis of the masjid also. Recently in South Africa, people told me that now in universities they come and tell us, you want to become a Freemason. It's offered. Now when you're driving on the roads, you will say, phone this number, become a Freemason. We'll make your every dream fulfilled. We'll show you where to invest. Open. This is a web. But nothing looks wrong in that web. So that bird is flying and say, I'm going. At that time, if the light of Quran can hit on that web, this Quran. It is the answer for every error. When the light of Quran hits on that web, that child will be like the bird. He will see it at the last minute and he will cross it. There will be no mother and father and muallim and sheikh who will be able to guide the people of the future. When the future will be so difficult that certain times even the mother, the father, the sheikh, the muallim, they also drowning in evil sometimes. That the father will shout the son, what are you up to? The son will say, Daddy, I know how to use the phone better than you. You think you're deleting all your history at night, I know what you're checking up. So Daddy, just keep quiet, and Daddy will be sure. Mother wants to shout her daughter, Mommy says, what are you looking at? The daughter says, Mommy, I know what you're looking at. Where you see, delete history, nothing gets deleted. But this world is like this. It brings the world in a trap. That after that, the one who's supposed to speak also is kept quiet. The sheikh wants to say in the masjid, what is happening? And someone says, I know your secrets also, you keep quiet. But this Quran is always going to be pure. And this Quran will speak in such a manner that it will make the world put their heads down and say, Allah has spoken the truth. I'm also getting caught in a trap. This Quran. And this Quran will continue speaking. It speaks to the individual who doesn't know the meaning. How then it will speak to the one who knows the meaning? It is this Quran that makes a man whose heart is hard. His heart has become hard like rock. But when this Quran will be read, he'll start crying. Shaykh Abdul Basit, rahimahullah, was asked once, from the miracles of Quran, what is one of those that you had seen? So one of the amazing ones was in the time of Jamal Abdul Nasir, when the Russians were deciding to make Egypt and Russia were together. And Russia at that time was the superpower like what we have today, America. And they wanted to make all the Muslim countries Soviet, what you call socialism, where we remove religion completely. Egypt was already modern, extremely modern. But now they wanted to bring complete socialism that like Russia, Egypt must be. Absolutely no Islam. So they called him and they had a meeting with Jamal Abdul Nasir. So he said, I don't think we can take that step. In Egypt, the people will remain on their faith. So he said, I could not explain to him. So in the next trip that this Jamal Abdul Nasir, he wasn't the best of people. But inshallah, maybe Allah will give him Jannah because of this action of his. He brought Egypt to a terrible position. But he never took it to what happened in Russia. So on his next trip, he took Sheikh Abdul Basit, who was the Qari of the government as it is. He said, I'm going there, I'm going to meet in the, whatever they call it, the Kremlin or whatever, I'm having a meeting. And I want you to come with me. When he brought him there, then he wanted to explain why socialism will never take root in Egypt. Meaning complete atheism. No religion at all. So he told the person that I brought my Qari, he's going to read Quran. And Shaykh Abdul Basit, then he read his Quran. While he was reading, however, he said, I saw from the eyes of these evil communists, whatever they were called, people who had never once, forget Allah, they never took the name God. They hated religion and they taught through religion. He said, but when I was reading and I looked up, I saw they were crying. So they were crying. After that they left Egypt, and whatever was the reason. When this Quran could bring tears in the eyes of those people who had no heart, it will still break the hearts of our children, this Quran. And it will take out from their hearts that fear. It will pull it out, that it is within man. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, the heart is like a treasure box. Problem is it's locked up. It needs to open sometimes. This Quran will open it. But may Allah make it that we can somehow create some situation, some surat, that not only an alim knows the meaning of Quran, not only an alima, and they're not only learning Quran tarjuma, meaning just because I'm becoming an alim. They're learning it when they're young. They're being made to read it when they're pious. You'll see a child is very pious. When you visit the house and the child comes, he's happy to wear kurta. The girl is happy to wear burqa. They're very pious when they're young. They'll be reading 20 rakats, even if it's wrong time. You can't read this time, they're reading namaz that time. You say namaz will break, sun is rising, they're not bothered. Child they are. As they get bigger and they enter school, university, then they think they're the boss. Then you tell them read 2 rakat salah, they don't want to read. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that Quran that is learnt when the child is young enters into the flesh of the child. It becomes part of the child. May Allah make it that our children, at least Juz-e Amma, they can learn it with meaning. The surah, wal-fajri wa-layalin ashr, wal-shaf'i wal-watri wal-layli idha yasr. The beginning of these last few surahs always starts with an oath, a qasam. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, by the oath of Fajr, and by the oath of 10 nights, وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ, some might be even, some might be odd, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْرِ, and by the oath of the night when it's just going to finish. Again, 3 oaths are taken. By the oath of Fajr, by the oath of the 10 nights, they explain of Ramadan, whether it is even or odd, وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْرِ, and by the oath of the night when it's going to finish. In the previous surah, Sabbih Hisma and Hal Atak, it was mentioned, that amazing are those people who found the path, and what they're going to get. And the people who lost the path, where they're going to go. This surah is trying to give a message, that if 3 things can come in an individual's life, he will find that his guidance for the day, for life will always be there. One is wal-fajri, by the oath of Fajr. Fajr means when dawn breaks. The message is, when it breaks, you also wake up for the Fajr. Wal-fajr. In the world there is a movement that to be fit. To be fit, they wake up just after Fajr. And then they say, I am going to go for my ram. I'm going to go bicycling. I'm going to climb the mountain. I'm going to do my swim. They do a lot of things. Because their body is so important. Those people don't say, my sleep is too sweet. If they're going hiking, they're going. For the people of Deen, Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, by the oath of Fajr. If you want your body, physical and spiritual, to be looked after, when dawn breaks, make sure you wake up. No matter how hard it is. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke about how the devil at night makes his own jadoo. He makes his own sihr. He blows his sihr on the hair of the individual, on the nose of the individual. There's full sihr on the body. Every night he says, shaitan puts his spell. Every night. And then the adhan for Fajr is called. The individual has to push himself. Some people say very hard to wake up for Fajr. Very hard. But we know this issue of jadoo, black magic. My mother-in-law made terrible jadoo on me. So what must do now? So they say every day in the morning, 6 o'clock, you must drink this water. That person wakes up 6 o'clock. How? He goes like a zombie. He'll go in the kitchen, he'll drink the water, come back and sleep. Why? Because he knows this water will protect me from my mother-in-law. He's worried of one auntie. He can't even move that auntie. Here we got a devil. We got so many devils. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when the man goes for Fajr, the shayateen follow him to the masjid even. Even to the masjid they follow him. Like how the bees go behind the queen bee. When he enters the masjid, those shayateen wait outside. That we got a whole day to make sure this man becomes ours. Wal Fajri. That individual who forces himself to wake up for the Fajr. In the past it was normal. Life starts at Fajr. Entertainment was created that your night only must end at 2 o'clock. You must stay awake on the phone, on the gadgets, play. There's a lot of things at night to see. Answer all your messages. Some people, when I take their phone, sometimes I need to phone, their WhatsApp messages go in the thousands. Ask them how you find it. They say, no, we know which ones to check up like. They got encyclopedia. If they read all the messages, they will be the professor of the era. So much of news. But when will he sleep? He will only sleep 2 o'clock. Will he be able to wake up for Fajr? Wal Fajri, the surah. How it starts. That don't miss your Fajr. Walayalin Ashr. And then once a year in Ramadan there are 10 nights. Washaf'i wal watri. Everyone says the odd nights of Ramadan I'm searching for. Almighty Allah says, on the oath of the odd nights, on the oath of even the even nights. Even the even nights are unique, and the odd nights, what to speak about them? Once a year, make your intention that 10 nights I will give it to the masjid. Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would never miss this i'tikaf. This is the time where the phone is put in the cupboard. And the individual says, I'm going to the masjid. Whether in the masjid there's a program or there's no program. In Darul Mazadwal every year from the beginning of Ramadan, for that entire 30 days, people from all over come. But every masjid can have it. 10 nights, Allah says, by the oath of 10 nights. Every day is Fajr. 10 nights in Ramadan. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْرِ. And then to push to one more level, the night just before it finishes. What we call 2 rakats, 4 rakats. Just before dawn ends, tahajjud time. But it starts with Fajr. When Fajr will start, then the individual will say, I think I'm going to make this i'tikaf happen. Next Ramadan, I'm going to sit for i'tikaf somewhere. And when the i'tikaf comes, then he says, I think I have to start tahajjud in my life. If he can come onto that pattern, start with Fajr. Aim for i'tikaf of 10 nights. I'tikaf will pull you to just a few rakats. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْرِ هَلْ فِي ذَلِكَ قَسَمٌ لِذِي حِجْرٍ. Almighty Allah says, in this is there not an adequate oath? Meaning, is the oath not enough for the people of intelligence? Is the oath not enough for the people of intelligence? Wal Fajri, will you read your Fajr? Wal Layli, walayalin Ashr, will you give 10 nights for Allah? Wal Layli idha yasri, will you give a little of the night for Allah? If you can move like this here, your aeroplane will fly. Then when the devil's net is there, you will go over it. And if not, then there is no tahajjud. Then there is no i'tikaf. then there is no Fajr. If there is no Fajr, then you become blind. Now the world is the only thing that matters. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi'ad. When you now looking for the world, now it's just to earn. Now it's to make my balance bigger. Every now and then I'm looking at my phone. I'm seeing how much I got in my accounts. I'm looking at where I can go now, what I can build now. Now you just become a man of the world. In the past, the first nation that was known as unique was the nation called Ad. There was two Ads. One was known as the first Ad. They are known as Ad of Iram. The second Ad is called the people of Thamud. Second Ad. The first Ad, Iram Dhatil Imad. They were the people of buildings. Their buildings went very high. They themselves were huge in size. In the beginning times, the world, man was huge. Adam alayhi salam, when he came in the world, 40 arms length. 40 arms length, if you want an example, Statue of Liberty. If you take away that beginning part, the foundation, the Statue of Liberty, that is the size of what Adam alayhi salam would have been. So at that time you had Ad. They were so huge. Now if they had to make a huge building, you can understand where the building was going. They were the bosses in the world. But when Allah Tabarak Ta'ala's punishment came, Allah says they fell like how, what we will call the palm tree. See how high the palm tree goes. And when that palm tree falls to the ground, He says when you found them in the morning, Allah's winds came upon them. The world asks, where are they today? Sometimes when they're digging, in the world they're digging, then they find this huge skeleton, huge. So immediately they take a picture and they say, we found. But what they try to say, we said we found the people of the dinosaur era. Just because they were big, we say you found the people of after Adam alayhi salam. That's all. Because when Adam alayhi salam was so tall, then the lions and the tigers of Adam alayhi salam's time, how big they would be. You can't have a small lion. Then Adam alayhi salam will just kick it and say, move, like a small cat. The lion had to be big. So when they find big bones, it doesn't mean once upon a time, 20 million years ago, this was the monkeys. It just means once upon a time, people were much bigger. But their size did not help against Almighty Allah's punishment. When they fell like palm trees. If our intention in the world is to get big, you can't get bigger than Ad. التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد. People like them in the world were never created. You can't get bigger than them. And if you say manufacturing is my field, you saw how I make things. وَثَمُودَ الَّذِينَ جَابُوا الصَّخْرَ بِالْوَادِ. Almighty Allah says, what about Thamud? They used to carve out the houses in the mountains. It is not clear till today whether they used their fingers and they had so much of strength that they could just bang, bang, bang on rock and the rock would give in. With such strong fingers like machine, they were able to make that lines, carve out. Or they had machinery, whatever it was. Up till today people look and marvel. How did he build this? وَفِرْعَوْنَ ذِي الْأَوْتَادِ. And then was the era of Egypt. The mighty Egypt, the pharaohs of the time. ذَا ذِي الْأَوْتَادِ, the one of pegs. Some explain that pegs means when Pharaoh would move with his armies and they would camp in the deserts of Egypt. And when the army would camp, there would be tents everywhere. They would peg their tents everywhere. So what a mighty army. At the moment now when this king died, a queen died. So I can't still understand like what she died is such a big thing for the world. But for some young girls in England are crying that she died. She said, their own grandmother died, the other did not bothered. This auntie did nothing for no one. But everyone is crying. So as I was in the aeroplane now, when I came in the airport, I saw immediately she died. What next? Like, as though like the president of South Africa died. What they worried, what next? Like she died. What next? So then someone explained that they parade now, whether they buried her or they're going to bury her, wherever it is. So he said in that parade how they march. You'll see that their shoulders won't even move. They march straight. There's a certain military march. And how they go. And they show their shan. All of that, and you ask someone, what a smart march, what banging, what music. Is it helping her? But the answer will be, she's already screaming in pain. It's not helping her. So if man is not going towards where Allah wants him to take off, then the most you're going to go to is you're going to become Ad or Thamud or Firaun. You will be the most noted person in the world. You could be the Queen of England also. King of England. You can live for 90, 99. Just the other day I told someone, this auntie is not dying, she died after that. I shouldn't have said it. She died. I just said she's not dying, this auntie, because we were recently there. She's not dying. So many years I'm visiting England. She never died. COVID came, killed everyone. She lived through COVID also. She never died, this auntie. Namrud lived for many years. Some say over 900 years he lived. Namrud. They said he never had a headache in that 900 years. But the day he died, so if there is no Fajr, and there is no i'tikaf, and there is no tahajjud, and your aeroplane is not going up, then it's going to come down. And the best you can be in the world, if you really want to be someone, is Samud, or Ad, or Firaun, or the Queen and the King of England. But once you enter the grave, the world will march for you a little bit. They'll put you in one museum in Egypt, Pharaoh. They'll charge $10, you want to see him. But even when you run in and you see him, it's air conditioned, but you think it's helping his body. As he's there, he's a sign for the world that even if they air condition and they mummify and they put you in a glass and they charge $10, 10 pounds, it doesn't help me one bit, because I'm burning in the punishment of Allah. This world is nothing but a lie. It can give nothing to no one. Those people who get thrilled with how many followers I got. I sent out my message, what I ate today, and person says, wow. Someone says, I like your post. And normally who says, I like? The moment nowadays, so this posting, Allah save us all. But sometimes boys post. And girls are reading those messages. Sometimes girl posts and boys are reading that message. Islam wanted so much that a boy's mind must never go to any girl. And a girl's mind must never go to any boy. But when that girl puts that post in front, she wants a boy to appreciate. A boy wants a girl to appreciate. So they even put one hadith of Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now when girl puts that message, the boy reads it, he says, MashaAllah, what a nice post. Imagine what is haram started on the sunnah. They used Allah's Nabi's words, and then he saw it and he said, MashaAllah, Subhanallah. So when I read this whole issue, I said that affair that started with Subhanallah and MashaAllah, it's only going to end in Inna Lillah. That's what happened. How could you use Allah's name to start a haram relationship? Said Subhanallah, MashaAllah. And then he started Bismillah. And they started talking. How long they talked after that? This post. So if you have the followers of the world and they march for you also without moving their shoulder, even then it does not help the individual. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, when the time came, فَصَبَّ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّكَ سَوْطَ عَذَابٍ. When the whop of Allah came, إِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَبِالْمِرْصَادِ. Remember, your Allah is seeing everything. When the whop of Allah came, Ad fell to the ground. Thamud disappeared from the world. Firaun went into the waters. No one ever gets saved when Allah's whop comes. فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ فَأَكْرَمَهُ وَنَعَّمَهُ فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَكْرَمَنِ. The people who are just living for this world, they left out Fajr, they left out i'tikaf, they left out tahajjud, now they're just going down, 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 down. For them it's only this world. So when they're in this world, now they get their certificate, they get their degrees, they get their job. So normally in the world always starts nice. Allah says, man, first his imtihan is taken. إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ. His Allah takes his imtihan. But how? فَأَكْرَمَهُ وَنَعَّمَهُ. He gives him some honor.
So now he got the honor, he's in school running. He's the best in school. He's winning all the trophies. He got the honor. Now they're telling him, let us take your picture. He's lifting the trophy high. I'm the best in the world. He played soccer only for the school, but he's not the soccer champion of Africa or America or US. He is only the soccer champion of PE. That's all. He just scored 2 goals. Everyone is clapping. The girls are smiling. He thinks he's Superman as he walks around. That night, whole night is thinking about the goal, how I scored the goal. So high he is. Allah says, I just gave him some honor. وَنَعَمَهُ, and a little bit of favor. He got a good job now. Now immediately he went to buy his first car. When he sat in the car, no one was looking at him, but he was looking at everyone looking at him. He forgot that robot is saying red because he wasn't looking. Someone from behind would stop. Then it went green, he's not moving. Because he wants everyone to notice that one auntie who doesn't like me, he drives past the road again. 5 times. 1 time she'll be looking out, say what he's doing in the car. He's so thrilled. Allah says, then he starts saying, Rabbi akraman. He says, Allah honored me. And he moves with that smile everywhere like. He says, what honor I got. Allah Tabarak says, there's no honor, this is an exam. And he must know that the next exam is also coming, but he already failed exam number 1. وَأَمَّا إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ, then the second exam comes. فَقَدَرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقَهُ, and Allah says, now his sustenance I start tightening. Now it becomes smaller. Because he was failing in the first exam. During the first exam, you would have told the man, Allah has given you enough. Wake up for Fajr now. Now spend more time in the masjid because business is carrying on. He said, you're so lucky, you're the prefect in the school. Why don't you read tahajjud? But that individual, he got no tahajjud. He got no Fajr. He has to be there 7:30. I'm the prefect. I'll see the scholar patrol. I'm a very smart person. To do my hair takes so many minutes. Where I got time for Fajr? That was the time where he was told, when Allah is giving you, you're so smart, you're so happy, you got no problem. Put your head in front of Allah. But he was not going to. Had he put his head at that time in front of Allah, Allah would have put a thought in his mind that this world with everything it has is zero. His level of iman would have become so high that people would say to him, you got the best in the world. He would say to them, this is nothing, the best is by Allah. When the second exam comes where things become tight, he would manage it very easily. People will say to him, business is very hard at the moment. He would say, if you travel in the world, other people got no food. In my house, Allah's fadl, I got food. Because he was failing the first exam, he was not going to survive the second exam. When the time comes where his second exam is taken, فَقَدَرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقًا, and now his sustenance is made tight. فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَهَانًا, now he starts complaining. Now he says, Allah disgraced me. Now he becomes angry. Now he starts finding objections. Now he says, if there is an Allah, then why is there so much problems in life? And the devil pulled him into the trap. That first exam, when things are moving how you want it to move, you're getting the phone, you're getting the car, you're getting the house, you're getting the business. During that time, don't ever forget putting your head on the musalla. You have to be crying in front of Allah. That crying will prepare you for every exam that's going to come after. Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have the world of gold, but he had a smile of gold. His heart was never affected with conditions. Whereas today the man got the world, but any small thing happens. The rand collapsed. You see, not the rand collapsed, his heart collapsed. He had a heart attack. The heart of man got stuck on money. They say there's one individual, he won a lottery. Huge amount. But because he was already 70, 75, he had heart, pacemaker, whatever it was. That pumping is not so strong. So they said, who's going to tell him you won the lottery? 20 million. Because if you tell him you want to, you have a heart attack. It's too much that thing. So they said, now we need someone. The best person to tell him is Moulana, Sheikh. Because Sheikh knows how to explain the dunya and the world. They asked Sheikh. Sheikh said, no problem. He went, old Baji, uncle. He said, uncle, this world, you know how this world is? Uncle says, hey, I'm already one leg in the qabr. Like, he says, this world is a doka. If it comes, it comes. If it don't come, he says, I know about it. As he got him ready for it, now he says, uncle, you tell me. That if someone has to tell you tomorrow you won the lottery, 20 million, what you'll do? Uncle said, Moulana, my leg is in the qabr. I'll give you half. Moulana had heart attack. He had the heart attack. Why? Because the heart of man is stuck with the world. He had the heart attack. Who doesn't like? But this Quran is the answer. This Quran. Now when difficulties come, he says, how could Allah do this? Kalla. Almighty Allah says, it got nothing to do how you seeing the exam. When you were living in good times, you thought Allah is honoring you. Balla tukrimun al-yatim. During your good days, you could never show kindness to the orphan. So you were living it up, but you couldn't show kindness to the orphan. You think Allah was honoring you at that time. No, He was making you Fir'aun. This 4 ayat that will come now is a message to all of us who enjoy wealth. 4 things must be part of our life to make sure that we are not failing in the first exam. One is an orphan. Orphan means in the world those people who don't have someone to look after them. The person who has wealth must take it as an honor that I must be able to give them some help. Whether it's now and then to make a trip to Syria, to Iraq, to Afghanistan, to Pakistan. Just sitting in our place and say, okay, I'll give some money, no problem. Recently the floods of Pakistan took place. So one friend of ours, he sent some money to Pakistan. The person of Pakistan sent a message back, Allah reward you for your money. But I want you to buy a ticket and come here. He says, when you will come here, you will realize what you sent is not enough. He said, you will pull out more from the back pocket. They went there, when they came back, they had no words. They had no words. Balla tukrimun al-yatim. You never honored the orphan. Allah open our hearts. The world always says, I want to go somewhere. COVID came to an end, I can travel. So travel in the world. Where to? Allah's Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, go and look at those people who are less fortunate than you in the world. Go and visit those orphan camps. Go see the young children of Syria. Go see the young children of Afghanistan. Go see the people of Pakistan. Then that individual will say, the wealth that Allah put in my hand, He actually put it for these people. Balla tukrimun al-yatim. When you had wealth and you never honored the orphan, you thought it was an honor. It was no honor. You were Fir'aun. وَلَا تَحَاضُّونَ عَلَىٰ طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. The poor person had no food, and you were not even encouraging to feed him. You just closed your eye. You said, I don't want to hear about anyone poor in the world. He says, then do you think we were honoring you with wealth? Allah open our hearts to search for the orphan, to keep our eyes and ears open for the poor person. You don't have to give all your wealth, but giving little bit is ensuring we passing the first exam. That the zamana, the era of wealth, we passing it when our eye and our ear is open. The world got enough problems. It is much easier to be the one giving than the one who has to receive. Allah allow us to be the giving hand. To be the one taking is like a disgrace. It is difficult, it is hard. To be the one giving is very easy. But when wealth comes, then the person becomes tight. You were not even encouraging to give food to the one who had no food. It then comes to the hard one. وَتَأْكُلُونَ التُّرَاثَ أَكْلًا لَمَّا. And when inheritance comes, then you ate the inheritance like a greedy man. أَكْلًا لَمَّا. Lamma means everything you wanted to eat. This is Quran. No alim will be able to say to the rich man, don't steal inheritance. Allah Ta'ala is the creator of man. وَتَأْكُلُونَ التُّرَاث. And you ate the inheritance like a greedy man. That individual immediately pulls back. He says, let's look at it again. Make sure everyone gets their share. Because if you're stealing inheritance money, you must know you are failing the first exam. وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. You are wild, mad in your love for money. I just want more, I just want more. And then you were saying, Allah honored me. Allah says, where honor? I was disgracing you. كَلَّا إِذَا دُكَّتِ الْأَرْضُ دَكًّا دَكًّا. Allah says, the day when the earth will be made flat. And when your Allah and the angels will all come. وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمٍ. And the fire of Jahannam will be brought. On that day, يَتَذَكَّرُ الْإِنسان. Man will understand. وَأَنَّا لَهُ الذِّكْرَى. But it's too late. يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي قَدَّمْتُ لِحَيَاتِي. On that day he will say, if only I had sent for my real life. If only I had sent for my real life. At the end of the surah is that famous ayat we always hear, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna, which normally is explained, and it's correct that before dying, this is what we want the angel to say, come back to Allah. But here the meaning is, forget when you're dying. Already Allah's i'lan now is to me and you. It is like the father calling his children who are lost. Oh my children, come back to your father. Allah Ta'ala says, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna. Oh the soul, irji'i ila rabbik. Why don't you come back to your Allah? Radiyatan mardiya. Come back where Allah is happy to accept you. You are happy to go to Allah. But how to get that? Fadkhuli fi ibadi. In Jannah it will be told, go and search for my servants in Jannah. In this world it's told that if you don't want to get caught in the web of the devil, فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي. Go search for the servants of Allah. وَادْخُلِي جَنَّتِي. There it will be told, enter my paradise. Here it is told, paradise on earth. You want paradise on earth, go and search for my servants. Wherever you will find them, you will find Jannah on earth. You will find sukoon and happiness. Allah Ta'ala grant us all. We get Jannah here, we get Jannah there. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.